Shalom, shalom. This is Rabbi Simon Altaf. We are here today at the British History Museum to show you some interesting artifacts that are to do with Israel and our history. So bear with us and you're going to see something really great today. Thank you. As you can see, this is the British History Museum. The size of this building is huge. It contains almost every artifact that you can think about from the Levant and from other countries of the world. So this is a good place to come and investigate history. What is fact and what is fiction? It's all here. With your host, Rabbi Simon Altaf. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. You're with Rabbi Simon. As you can see here, we got a picture of a sheep stroke king. And as you can also see that the ancient Egyptians, they worshipped sheep. They worshipped goats. You can see the picture of a goat over here. And these were some of the gods of the Egyptians. And hence why Moses, did not want to sacrifice a Passover lamb in Egypt, because he was afraid that the Egyptians would be offended, thus may attack them while they were doing the sacrifice. So they wanted to take the Israelites out of Egypt in order to do the sacrifice. Hence we see the evidence over here, which shows us what kind of statues or gods the Egyptians worshipped. They also have falcon-headed gods as well, as you can see over here. Not quite clear in these pictures. And we had the ram-headed deity. The ram-headed deity I just showed you above, which was worshipped by the Egyptians. Once again, you can see that these are from the 18th dynasty. The noses again are broken off. Please note, the noses are broken off because they obviously reveal the kind of people behind those noses would be black people with black noses. And so when you remove the nose, you disfigure the face. You can see big ears on these kings. Unfortunately, again, people who were racist against these people remove their noses so they can't be recognized. Over and out. Rabbi Simon Altaf. Doctor noses. Close up of the nose. Here you go. You can see that it's clearly a doctor nose. Obviously, like Michael Jackson, she had to go to have some surgery, and so did he. There you go. His nose has been doctored. Okay, this is the 18th dynasty, a king and queen. As you can see, the noses are Michael Jackson noses. They are doctored by Europeans. Black people in ancient times did not have straight noses like that in Egypt. They are Hamites with flat noses. Evidence is right in front of us. They've been doctored by Europeans. Thank you. Okay, so as you can see here, we got Ramses 9, Ramses 1. Look at the noses. Point the camera to the noses. The noses have been smashed. The lips have been smashed in that picture, in that painting or in that sculpture. Why? Because they wanted to hide who the actual kings were. Did not want to show them as the black kings that they were. So the noses have been removed. Lips have been altered. Evidence before your eyes of the great Hamite civilization that existed in Egypt at one time. Thank you. You're listening to Rabbi Simon. I want to show you this cylinder of Cyrus. This is the King Cyrus that is mentioned in Ezra 1:1 in the Bible. And this is a king that the God of Israel called his anointed. This is a king that took our people captive to Iran, to Persia. So this is the same king that allowed the temple to be repaired. So as you can see in the British Museum, we have history of the king, which proves. Yeah. Okay, so this is Ashadon's what we call the cylinder. What's so important about this guy? He is the one who carried away part of Israel into captivity, the northern house of Israel. 100 years before, Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed the temple. He's on my left-hand side. You can see Nebuchadnezzar's area in the British Museum. And this is the man that was responsible for carrying our people into captivity, into Babylon. And later, the book of Daniel the prophet explicitly speaks about this man, talks about him, his kingdom, and how he was a high-ranking officer in his kingdom. So this is evidence here in British Museum for biblical manuscripts of the people that it speaks about, where many people thought that they were legends, but we have artifacts here proving that these people were real people, not legends, and the God of Israel is a real being who lives today, acts in our world. Praise His mighty name. Right, this is the cylinder of Nabonidus. Nabonidus is a very important man in history. He is the man who actually conquered Arabia, and he is the brother of Nebuchadnezzar, who is mentioned in the Bible, in the book of Daniel, when the Hebrew people were taken as slaves, captives into Babylon. This is the man that carried his gods from Babylonia to Saudi Arabia, and that is where you get the Saudi Arabian gods from. In other words, Allah was Halla, was Il, Ba'il, Lil, Enlil. This is a transfiguration of the deity of Islam all the way to here. This is a man, Nabonidus, responsible for these gods to be carried, and ancient Arabs worship these gods until the Islamic prophet Muhammad proclaimed Allah as the only God, destroying all the statues in the Kaaba. But before that, we had the pantheon of gods in Mecca, in Kaaba. Thank you. This is Sennacherib's relief. Here you'll find Sennacherib was mentioned in the Bible. This is a man who invaded Israel with a large army that was destroyed in one night. And this man was then removed. He removed himself from Israel, and his sons killed him when he went back to Syria. Sennacherib's palace. As you can see here, this is the Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is the one that the ancient scholars used to interpret Egyptian hieroglyphs. Without this, they would not know how to interpret Egyptian hieroglyphs, as there was no dictionary, there was nothing to interpret it. But this has Greek on it, which allowed them to reference the Greek language to interpret the Egyptian text or the Egyptian hieroglyphs. I can close up. As you can see, the Rosetta Stone. Okay, you're with Rabbi Simon Altaf, British Museum, 2013. Shalom, shalom. From here you can see the ancient Egyptian hieroglyph over here. Let me close up for you. There you see it. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyph. This whole tablet up there has a story to tell about ancient Egypt. Thank you. As you've seen, that I've shown you some artifacts of the history of Israel, and the artifacts that they contain over here that depict the God of Israel, the people of Israel, and how these are real histories. These are not legends as some people had believed. So thanks to the Great British Museum, we can now prove that many, in fact the entire history of the Bible is true. Thank you. Your host, Rabbi Simon Altaf. Shalom, shalom to you.